What's up, YouTube, and welcome back to the Knicks Cave. I am Jan, the Knicks fan, your host, and let's get right into it. But before we get into it, I want you to do me one small favor. I want you to hit that like button. I definitely want you to subscribe and leave a comment. And you want to know when the next video is going to drop, hit that notification bell. All right, let's get into this video real quick. New York Knicks will be getting some help back. That's OG Anunoby. But before we get into that, let's talk about Jalen Brunson and how he felt about that loss last night. He actually came out and said he played like shit. A true leader, a true leader, taking responsibility when you're supposed to. Well, I'm going to say accountability, because I'm not going to lie, he was one of the major factors we lost that game last night. And no, I'm not throwing shade on our all-star Jalen Brunson, but I got to call it like I got to call it. I got to call it like I see it. And he was one of the main factors other than the coach. I'm not going to get into the coach right now because y'all already know how I be coming down on Tom Thibodeau. But last night, Jalen Brunson didn't do what we brung him in here for. No, I'm not talking about the 19 points, because I would have been happy with 19 points any other night. You know what I'm saying? So I can't just throw 19 points away. But what I mean about controlling the game and being the point guard that I wanted, and a lot of you wanted. And yes, he's fantastic. He's an all-star. There's no taking away from his game. But when you look at his game, is he really that point guard that the New York Knicks need? Oh, don't hit me in the comments because y'all misunderstand what I'm saying. And what I mean by that, I want to see some Halliburton type play from Jalen Brunson. When I mean when he get on the floor, every time he touch the floor before he think about getting his points, he got to survey the court and see if there's an easy basket for anybody else. And this will take the pressure off of Jalen Brunson so that he can be the player that we all have come to know that he is, or whatever the word would be. I ain't in my English class. All right, let's get into some takeaways that I took away from that game from Jalen Brunson and why he was part of the culprit that lost us the game, if not one of the main factors. And he admitted it. He said it to himself. He said it to y'all. He played like dog shit. You seen the thumbnail. He said I played like dog shit. That was his words. You know what I'm saying? Not mine. So don't get mad at the thumbnail. He said he played like dog shit. He got to start passing out. Number one, he got to start passing out of double teams quicker. I'm starting to see that Julius Randle type bullshit that got a lot of us upset. And that's what I mean about, is he our point guard or is he our shooting guard? I know he's our all-star, and I'm not mad about that. I'm happy. I'm happy that we got a player in here that we can really count on for points. But at the same time, I wanted to see some Halliburton type point guard going on with the New York Knicks. That's all I'm saying. James Harden type shit. James Harden type shit. I'm cursing, y'all. James Harden type shit. When I say James Harden, I mean go out there, get your points. Get your points, boy. And y'all gonna say he had 8 assists, but do he get 8 assists on a regular basis? He's averaging 6 assists, and that's because he happened to give the ball up a little bit more because Julius Randle ain't here. And you can't take away from Julius Randle, because when Julius Randle was here, he was still averaging more assists than Jalen Brunson. And it may sound like I'm mad at Jalen Brunson. Hell no. I'm glad he's on his team. Ain't thinking about getting rid of him is not even in my mind. It's not a process. But what I'm talking about for him to make this team better, because I'm looking at teams like Boston, I'm looking at teams like the Orlando Magic, and I'm looking at teams like who else? Indiana. And the one thing that make them teams better than the New York Knicks is the passing. The unselfishness, knowing that if you get the ball, you're going to get it back in the right situation. This is what I'm talking about. The New York Knicks need to be doing this. That's another thing for the coach, but the point guard is the hand of the coach. He got to get the guys involved more. Now, there's some other things that throws me off from Jalen Brunson, and I mean not throw me off, but what I see in that game and why we lost that game is when he's having an off night, to stop forcing shots. You know what I'm saying? And another thing I seen in that 76 game that I want to see him cut down on is forcing unnecessary 3-point shots. Because we was down 4. 5 minutes left in the game. Y'all can correct me in the comments. But we was down 4, and he took an ill-advised 3-point shots. They went back up 7 point. I think what's called came up and hit a 3 over the N1 play, but he went back up 7. But we had Josh Hart open cutting to the basket, which takes me back to I want to see him do the pick and roll. This is what I mean when we got the point guard. Like as good as he's a scorer. Other teams know that now. That pick and roll or the man diving to the basket is going to be open almost every damn time. So I want to start seeing him work off that pick and roll. When the defensive double team come to him, I want to see him getting that ball out to our bigs because that's the guy that's mostly open all the time because it's their big that's rushing to put the double team on Jalen Brunson. And I want to see him recognize our big man cutting to the hole because they do, and sometimes he do, don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to see it a little bit more often. So, yeah, Jalen Brunson, you played like dog shit that game. And I want to see improvement. No, I ain't going to say improvement because there's not much for you to improve on. But I don't want to see that type of play from you no more. Because, as they say, that this was one of the worst games in the NBA this year. 73 points the New York Knicks scored. And when you look at the game and you look at the stats and you say we out-rebound them, we made more free throws. The 3-point shooting was about the same. They had a better field goal percentage. You know what I'm saying? But the turnovers really cost us. Jalen Brunson, I think he only had 2 turnovers. Altogether, 21 turnovers for the game as a team. So a lot of y'all gonna say, yeah, that played a big factor, and it did. But as a point guard, when we had the game, you look at the score, we had the game right there several times. We had them shook. You know what I'm saying? We just had to let our point guard be a point guard and not be an all-star. Don't get me wrong, I am happy he's an all-star, but at certain times, you got to know when to be a point guard and not be an all-star. You got to know when the win is more important than your stats. And I'm not saying Jalen Brunson is a stat builder that just go out there and build his stats. He got the money already. You know what I'm saying? And the way he's playing is guaranteeing him another nice, hefty contract when this one is over. But I just want to see a little bit more passing out of double team, less taking ill-advised 3-point shots, things like that. Y'all tell me. Now let's get into the most important and most exciting thing that as a New York Knicks that we heard since January. You heard what I said, since January 27. The most important thing we heard, and that is OG Anunoby is making his return. It is rumored that he is questionable for tomorrow night against the Philadelphia 76ers. Tyrese Maxey, he will be returning. But OG will be returning. We need them 15 points. We need them 4.6 rebounds. We need that tenacity on defense. We need that body. We need OG right now like old people need Florida. We need OG. And let's hope that it's just not rumors and it's not a setback. And I know it's only mere hours until the next game. But let's just hope this jewel of information that this was dropped is real. You understand? It's real. But you also have to think about one thing. With OG Anunoby returning, what do that mean for Josh Hart and Precious Achiuwa? Who's going to start and who's going back to the bench? Now, let's talk about that for 1 second. If you look at what each player brings, have little notes that I got down. Both bring rebounding, number 1. Number 2 for Josh Hart is that hard drive to the rim. I want to start calling him the whole Hart. You know what I'm saying? Because he goes through the whole hard, old school driving. Like if you're gonna foul me, you're gonna foul me, which they do a lot of times, and the ref do not give it to him. Another story. But he do go to the hole with authority. You know what I'm saying? With authority. And that's number 2 on this list. Number 3, timely 3-point shooting. You You know what I'm saying? He kind of earlier in the season not take as many as threes, like because when he first came here, Josh Hart was lighting it up from downtown. So he kind of fell off on his 3-point shooting, but this is why I'm comparing him with Achiuwa. Fourth, for right now, is Josh Hart energy. The man brings energy to the game. Undeniable energy that helps lift us over the times when the New York Knicks is looking very, very stagnant. All right, let's go over to Achiuwa. Achiuwa, like I said, number one, they both bring rebounding. Now this what? Achiuwa 6.3 rebounds and Hart 7.7 rebounds. Now, number two for Achiuwa is block shots. Number three, energy. Number four is something that, a lot of coaches love because they call it hustle play. It's them putbacks. You know what I'm saying? He always seemed to be around the time to get that timely touch, tap, pass right there. But his defense, since I was going to say Randall, well, Randall can defense every now and then, but his defense is well needed. You know what I'm saying? So with his defense, I'm thinking with Anunoby and Precious starting, that would be a very good starting five on defense. And don't get me wrong, because I still see Dante starting. Then there's Brunson. Then there's Achiuwa. Anunoby at the 3. Then Achiuwa at the 4. But then there's Josh Hart. When we look at their rebounding, you know what I'm saying? The timely shooting from Hart, and not to mention the energy. Then you go over to Achiuwa, the rebounding, the block shots, the energy, the putbacks. He's scoring 7.8 points a game. Hart 8 points a game, 7.7 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 0.3 blocks, and 1.4 steals from Josh Hart. Whereas Anunoby and Achiuwa is scoring 7.8 points a game, 6.3 rebounds, 1.4 assists, 0.8 blocks, and 0.6 steals a game. This is going to be a decision. Let me say something. If you just look about how Tibbs do to players that he like, this is going to be a hard decision for Tibbs because Tibbs like the energy that Josh Hart bring, but the results that they both good players in this position right here, even though Josh Hart is undersized. And that's the biggest reason why I think Achiuwa should start right along Anunoby, Isaiah Hartenstein, Dante, and Jalen Brunson is because of the size. Because of the size. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes Josh Hart look kind of lost out there. And Achiuwa is a little bit stronger. So, I don't know. The return of OG Anunoby is a good goddamn thing. We cannot deny it. But what are Tibbs going to do at this 4 spot? You know what I'm saying? Right now, this is a good position compared to where the New York Knicks was a week ago, 2 weeks ago. This is a really good position where we have to decide what we're going to do and where we're going to initiate players so that we can be more successful. And y'all already know that once Julius Randle get back, this team about to take off like a 747. This team is about to take off. Y'all tell me what y'all think. And with that being said, I want everybody to stay safe, stay healthy, God bless, and peace.